Welcome back to I'm Just a Dude. Wanted to preface this next video with a little information on it. The camera work on it's not great. It was very late at night and I was recording by myself. I didn't have a camera stand and was just doing it with one hand, trying to manipulate a rifle and some other things. So it's not the best video quality. I apologize for that in advance. But this is a little trigger job I did on this Savage rifle. Now, I'm not a gunsmith, not a professional. I would not suggest this modification. Unlike the Ruger American rifle, which I did a trigger job on, there's a video on that. It's been very popular. This is a whole different setup, and it's a whole different design of the trigger, and it's not as easy to kind of mess with, I guess you could say. But you know, this channel is all about the trials and tribulations, my successes and my failures of this, that, the other, and life in general. So I wouldn't suggest it or recommend it. It did help considerably. It's got a really nice trigger pull on it now, but when you get in with this spring, you have to manipulate, or at least on this rifle, you have to manipulate another aspect of the trigger and the safety, which I do not recommend. The spring is an aftermarket spring. It's for the Savage Axis. They said it would work, but I'm not so sure that this trigger mechanism in this rifle is the same as the Savage Axis or the Savage Tactical for that matter. I don't really know. I don't have either of those other rifles to compare them to. This is the Savage Switchback. It's exclusive to Sportsman's Warehouse, I think it was. So it may be totally different. It's customized in different ways in comparison. When you look at the Axis and some of the other Savage rifles, it's quite a bit different. So this whole thing may be different, and I jammed it in there and made it work. But anyhow, we'll go roll that tape nevertheless, and let's get to it. All right, welcome back to another episode of I'm Just a Dude. Today we're going to do a trigger job on this Savage, and I'll kind of bring you along. Got a trigger spring, a new trigger spring for it. So I am going to hop off here. We're going to get a pull weight on the factory before, after, and then I'll show you another little trick that we'll include on this if I'm not satisfied with switching out this spring. So hang tight, I'll be back. Alrighty, 3 pulls. The average on that came out to be 3 pounds 10 ounces. This is the spring and the trigger that you'll be replacing. Okay, we're going to replace it with this one. There is a screw that or a little device that you stick in this spring hole at the bottom, and you twist it. And the shorter this spring gets, the lighter the trigger pull is. Okay? This has a little, up top here, there's a little pin, or a little bent up coil. That little bent up coil wire fits in a stopper in a hole on the top side of this. Otherwise the spring will fly out or have the potential of flying out. So that little bitty wire on top fits up in that catch hole, and then this spring screws inside this trigger mechanism here. And like I said, the more spring you get, the tougher the pull. The less spring you get, the lighter the pull. So I'm going to drift this clip out, and we're going to drop this trigger, pull this assembly out, and then I'll unscrew this spring, swap it with this one, and see what kind of difference we have on the pull. Okay, we drifted that E-clip out. This pin, the fat side to it, it goes on this side of the trigger, opposite of the chamber, right? This whole trigger assembly drifted out. Once you drift this pin out, this whole thing will drop out. There's your safety blade. That spring controls the safety blade. Here's the spring for your trigger pull. Also appears to be maybe a length of pull stopper or something along those lines. So this is the factory spring. Just screw it out, and we'll put our aftermarket spring in, which looks like this. You'll notice it is shorter, so right there ought to tell you it's a lighter spring because it gives more room for that to be cranked down. Okay, new spring installed. As you cycle it, pull the trigger. I'll pull this back out because we gotta check on something else in there, make sure I got it assembled properly. But that's why you hire a gunsmith, and don't trust I'm just a dude. Anyhow, there it is. I'm going to give her 3 pulls on this and get an average. See what our reduction in trigger weight was. All right, there you go. 3 pulls, average 1 pound 7 ounce. So it has significantly reduced the trigger pull weight on this. Next trick is to figure this thing out. I have no idea how that went together. Hopefully there wasn't a pin that shot out somewhere. Anyhow, let me get putting this back together, and we'll give you my final thoughts on this and a pull with the stock on. And if you're like me and don't read directions, and all of a sudden you're doing something and something falls out and a spring shoots out or part falls out, you're like, oh shit, how did that go together? Where did it come from? I did read the directions on this to see how to put it back together, but it's pretty simple. I'm going to put this in my mouth and show you how it goes together. That didn't work out very well. There you go. A little spring feeds down underneath. It slides on, it hooks right there. Alrighty, there it is, all put back together. Ain't she pretty? Again, I'm not a gunsmith or a professional, so tinker at your own risk. Consult a professional or a gunsmith to do any gun work. Disclaimer. There you go. Okie dokie. Let's give this thing a squeeze on the stock. Make sure everything functions properly. Hang on one moment. Okay, so I got it all put back together. As you saw before, I was running the bolt and the trigger just fine. I had no malfunctions or problems, so I get it back in the stock, and the trigger is locked up, will not move. The safety selector switch will not move. So obviously something is wrong inside. I'm going to take it apart, see if I can figure it out, and I'll let you know what's up. So the weird thing about this is, in order to get that bolt release button to slide back, you have to fire the trigger. You have to run the bolt, dry fire it, and then that button will work. So how do you do that when your trigger won't go? So I started drifting these screws out and wiggled it around a little bit, and was able to get it to fire, so I could get that bolt release button to come back. So maybe this was twisted down too tight. I don't know. I'll mess with it here and see if I can figure this out. Okay, gang, here's the problem I am running into. So you get this thing all put back together, the bolt will cycle fine. The trigger is frozen as is your safety lever, and I think I know what's going on. So once you get this tightened up, because that trigger bar is much shorter now. If you recall, there's that trigger stop screw, I think it was. We're gonna dive into that. Okay, I think here's what's happening. So we've shortened up this whole travel space in there, and then there's that trigger stop bar pin, I do believe is what that is. That rides right in here. When you engage the safety, that bar cannot travel up, hence your trigger cannot pivot, and it blocks. It's a block bar. And I've got that so jammed up now that this trigger stop bolt is binding this safety bar, pushing up on it, won't let it engage or slide. So I'm going to drift this pin or this bolt screw down and see if that gives us more room. And even if I get it all put back together on that end of things, I just shot my E-clip off somewhere, no idea where it went. So I don't know if I'll be able to get this all back together and functional tonight or not. It's been one of those evenings with I'm just a dude. Beware. You'll notice there is no head. It's just a flat end, and then there's no sort of hole for an Allen wrench or screwdriver or anything else. I think they meant that to be there. I don't know if it's staked in there or not. I can't tell. They've made that to where it's not supposed to come out or move because it's the safety bar. So I'll see if I can figure this out. See if we can get a screw out that's not supposed to come out. All right, miraculously I found the E-clip in the floor with the help of a spotlight or a flashlight. So that guy, I put a pair of pliers on it, on that post, and screwed it in. Probably got a half turn on it. You can see it's sticking proud of the bottom of that trigger bar now, so it has drifted down some. I'm gonna probably give her one more turn, see if I can push it down a little bit more. I don't want to go too much to where it's not engaging the safety, but apologize for the camera work. Put it in. Sorry, I'm trying to do this one-handed. That slides fine. But now, I'm just a fucking mess tonight. Now, I put that bar in. Boom. When I put pressure on this whole housing, what's the safety? That's not good. It's fucked up. I fucked it up. So I took down that post. I'm gonna have to put it back up because it will not engage the safety, and the safety will not work. This thing will fire when unsafe. Beware. Failure. Let me see if I can find that sweet spot on this. I may abandon the whole thing, put this back to the factory setting and the factory spring in it, and call well enough good. This did not work so far. Okay, I got it all back together. I did you got to get a fine balance between that stop screw on the safety of in and out. I did finally get it to where the safety will operate, which is great. Trigger safe, halfway, safe, fire, boom. So guys, I do this at your own risk. It takes some internal adjustment on that safety bar, and now you're messing with the safety bar. So I don't know, if you're happy with about a 4-pound trigger, then I wouldn't mess with it. But it is a lot lighter. It feels a lot sweeter now. So it's a little pain in the ass though. Heads up, warning. Won't fire. Halfway safety. Bolt operates. Fire. Boom. There you go.